Pisces Sun and Rising. Welcome to your September 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, this could be a month where relationships really play a big part because the Sun starts the month in your opposite sign, Virgo, and that is your seventh house of committed partnerships. And you notice I said that in plural because it's not just your significant other. It can be business partnerships. It can be one-on-one relationships like uh, friends that are very close to you, but also if you have clients, it could be them. The seventh house is also the house of, what do you call that? Public relations. So that can get quite a boost when you have activity in this area. The Sun will stay in Virgo until the 22nd or 23rd, depending on where you live. And then going into Libra, it is that 8th house, which is the domain of Scorpio, a fellow water sign. And so the themes of transformation, and sometimes this can also, like the occult, astrology, the tarot can be involved. But on the other hand, it can be about shared resources. So, oh yeah, and that's one thing that I have to say about the seventh house. It can be legal affairs. So these are somebody who has a legal matter and then has planets going to the eighth house. That could be talking about how is the money going to be distributed. Speaking of money, Venus, the ruler of the second house of earned income, but also the seventh house of relationships, moves into Virgo on the 5th, and that is your opposite house. And so that's very good for harmonizing in relationships or any kind of legal matter, that things can become more calm. And also that money is coming, perhaps. On the 10th, we have the Mercury retrograde. I don't know. I think this might be actually the 9th, and I think I put the 10th by accident. Or I can't tell because some of these, let me see here. Yes, for some people it is going to be on the 10th. People in Europe and other places, this Mercury retrograde. But for people in the United States, other than the East Coast, it'll be, on the East Coast too. It'll be on the 9th, but late at night. So this is going to occur at almost 9 degrees of Libra, and that will be in that 8th house. So something with contracts that maybe need to be tweaked could be sent back to the judge, to a lawyer, because then Mercury goes back into Virgo. And that's going to happen on the 23rd, right after the equinox. So there could be something with shared resources that you have to deal with if there's any kind of snafu with that. This can also be, any Mercury retrograde, you could hear from somebody from your past. And what I feel like the situation at hand can be something, if you are feeling, Pisces, that your needs are not being met, because you're going to have a full moon in this during this month, and that could indicate that for some of you, you have to put your own needs first. That's going to happen either on the 9th or 10th, depending on where you live. Most people, it's going to be on... Actually, that was the one where it's most likely going to be the 10th for most people. I think I misread it where it said 9/10. When the sun is in your first house, you're honoring the self, or that indicates that something may come up, some kind of incident comes up where you have to choose whether you're going to ignore your needs yet again, or whether you're going to put yourself first. But in some cases, it's always a possibility that you see something within yourself that you realize you have to end, because the full moon in the first house can mean ending a way that you carry yourself, that you do things. And an example would be if a Pisces person is, talking about like putting other people's needs first, is that you learn to say no, and you realize that your inability to say no actually has hurt your relationships, your one-on-one relationships, because you still are angry about it, that you aren't getting your needs met, and it ends up being that you are a little bit passive aggressive, and you might have a tendency to kind of indirectly communicate your displeasure about something, and it really isn't fair to the other person, because they thought you were on board, and they didn't know that you didn't want to do what you said you would do. So something may come up that kind of illustrates this, and then you realize that you have to be a lot more proactive in that sense, and a lot more assertive. On the same day as the sun goes into Libra, which is a power period, it's the season changing, the equinox, we have Mercury going into that seventh house in Virgo. And so for most of the month, Mercury is actually in that sixth house in the sign of Leo. And for Pisces individuals, this may be that you are communicating with people in work environments. Perhaps there are negotiations going on. Definitely when you have Mercury retrograde that goes back into that sixth house, it's going to show you that there is this review of some kind that has to do with your work related matters. And even the seventh house, I would say, could be arbitration. It doesn't have to be necessarily in a legal arena, I mean, like a court system necessarily. I don't think. I think anything where you're negotiating and there's a mediation, if this is work related, that could be going on. Mercury in the sixth house in general, because you did have this before. In August, you had Mercury in that house, and this is about diet, health matters. So perhaps there's something where you had to revisit something that is connected to your health. Maybe you've had some legal lawsuits. That's kind of redundant, but a lawsuit that is connected to health matters, and you discover something else in your research. I think a Mercury retrograde is a time when it's considered great for research. On the 25th, we have a new moon at 2 degrees of Libra in that 8th house, and that could be developments with shared resources, for instance, or perhaps some of you are going to take an astrology course or a tarot course, or you're going to start your own channels. Now, starting something new, you might want to wait until Mercury goes direct, or you may want to buck convention and do it anyway. That's up to you. But this is planting seeds of intention in areas that concern issues surrounding transformation. So if this is related to diet, you may envision your ideal self, like what you want to look like, how do you want to feel, how do you want to move. On the 29th, Venus goes into Libra. So Venus goes into that 8th house, and that really can indicate that money coming from another source is indicated. And so there might be some harmony when it comes to dealing with people at a very deep level. So maybe you finally tell somebody what you really feel about something if you were kind of holding back. And this can also involve, if you're getting married, if you're moving in with someone, maybe you're making wedding plans, and that was Mercury in the 7th house. When Mercury goes back into the 7th house, I should say, that could be that sense of everything getting settled, because as the month ends, Mercury is still going to be in that 6th house. But because Venus is in the 8th house, it's taking intimacy to a higher level, where it's not just about the 7th house is kind of the way it looks on the surface. I can't think of there's the appearance of things. So the wedding ring, the marriage license. The 8th house is a water house, so it's all about your feelings, but your deep feelings about what is going on with you and your relationship. So that could be really diving deep with somebody when it comes to love matters. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this, Pisces. If you would like a private reading, I have double readings that are at a special price that are all about looking at the natal chart and also looking at transits. And it's a really great thing to do at the same time, because you can get both sides of the coin. You get the idea of like, okay, what is in my chart that never goes away? I always have this planet in this house, and this is something that I can, I have this talent that I can, really bring out, that I've been kind of keeping to myself, and this may really make me feel happier, make me feel more aligned with life, more plugged into life. And then the transits, the great thing about the transits is that you're looking at the energy that is around you at this time, and then even in the future, to see what the trends are. I like to call it astrological trends. Even though I give dates, I still like to keep it open-ended, because I feel like it's really about looking at the bigger picture. You can find out about those readings. That reading is called a deep dive reading. It's a double reading. And I have standalone readings as well. All at the link below. My website is rainamoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.